The smell of cold metal and fear filled the air. Eli opened his eyes slowly, his head pounding, his hands chained to the bars of a small cage. The room around him was dark, lit only by a pale blue glow coming from strange symbols on the walls. Rows of cages stretched into the shadows, each one holding a human body. Some awake, some not moving at all. A whisper broke the silence, soft and close. Human. "Hey, human." Eli turned his head, his vision still blurry. In the cage next to him, a pair of silver eyes stared back at him, a girl, or maybe not a girl. Her skin pale with a faint shimmer, her voice trembling. She leaned closer, her lips almost touching the bars. "Sold for meat, human. Hold me. Use me. Just get me out of here," she whispered. Eli's chest tightened. "Where are we?" he asked in a hoarse voice. The girl's eyes shifted to the shadows around them. "In the harvest pens," she said, her words shaking. "They take humans to feed the Dominion." He pulled at the chains, but they were thick, cold, alive with some strange energy that burned his skin. "Dominion? What are you talking about?" The girl pressed her forehead against the bars as if she was trying to hide from something unseen. "You don't want to know." "Not yet," she said. A loud sound echoed from somewhere above. Like a horn made of bone, every cage shook as the noise passed through the floor. Around them, some of the humans stirred. Others cried quietly. The girl closed her eyes and whispered, "They are counting down. Midnight. That's when they start the harvest." Eli's heart pounded. He looked at the girl, her silver eyes watching him like a trapped animal desperate to run. "Do you have a way out?" he asked. She gave a small, broken laugh. "There's always a way out, if you are ready to lose everything." Footsteps echoed, heavy and uneven. Two tall figures walked into the room, their shapes hidden in the dim light. Their voices a low growl in a language Eli couldn't understand. One stopped near his cage, sniffing the air, a sound like metal scraping against stone. The girl didn't move, didn't breathe. Eli forced himself to stay still, his body tense. The figure tapped the bars with long black claws, then moved on. The second creature muttered something, and both left, their steps fading into the distance. Eli let out the breath he had been holding. The girl turned to him, her voice now a sharp whisper. "We have one night, human. One night before they cut us apart." Eli stared at her. "And you know how to escape?" Her hand moved slowly to her side, pressing against her own skin. A faint click came from under her flesh, and then something small and metallic slid into her palm, a key, unlike anything he had seen, glowing faintly blue. "I stole this. I hid it inside me," she said, her face pale with pain. "But if we use it, they will know, and they will kill us fast." Eli's throat went dry. "Why me?" he asked. The girl's silver eyes softened for a moment. "Because you are awake, and because I can't do this alone." He stared at the cages, the humans. Around them, the dark shapes hanging from the ceiling like hooks waiting for meat. His mind screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. He looked back at her. "What's your name?" For a second she hesitated, then whispered, "Lyra." Eli closed his eyes, feeling the cold chain burn against his wrists. "All right, Lyra. Tell me the plan." She leaned closer, her voice barely a breath. "When the feeding horn blows." Again the guards change. "That's when we move." Eli nodded, his chest tight. He didn't know if he could trust her. He didn't know if they would make it. But he knew one thing. If they stayed, they would die in the dark, surrounded by fear and the smell of blood. Two strangers made a promise without words. A promise to fight, to escape, to survive. Somewhere far above, the horn echoed again, louder. This time, the cages trembled, the humans stirred, and Lyra's silver eyes locked on his. "Get ready, human," she whispered. "The harvest begins at midnight." The blue glow of the cages flickered, as if the walls themselves were alive. Eli sat in the cold corner of his cage, his mind racing. Lyra crouched close to the bars, her silver eyes scanning the shadows like she could see danger before it came. "The horn will sound again soon," she whispered. "When it does, the guards switch routes for 90 seconds. That's all we get." Eli tugged the chain around his wrists, feeling the sting of energy burn his skin. "Great," he muttered under his breath. "But we can't even move." "These things are welded to the floor." Lyra's lips curled into a strange smile. "Tired and sharp at the same time. That's why you need me, human." She lifted the small glowing key from her palm, her fingers trembling as if holding it. "Hurt, this isn't just a key, it's a lock eater. One use only." Eli leaned closer to the bars, lowering his voice. "And you're just gonna use that on me, not yourself?" Lyra's gaze didn't waver. "You'll run faster. Fight harder. Besides," she paused for a heartbeat, "they won't be looking for you. They'll be looking for me." The weight of her words hit harder than the chains. "What are you?" Eli asked quietly. Her silver eyes darted away for a second, her voice soft. "Not now. If I tell you now, you won't help me escape." The horn sounded again, low and deep, the metal floor humming beneath them. Lyra moved fast, sliding the key into the lock of Eli's chain. A faint hiss filled the air, the glowing metal fading into dust that vanished into nothing. Eli gasped and flexed his hands, free for the first time since he woke up. "Your turn," he said, reaching for her chains. But Lyra pulled back, shaking her head. "No. I told you, they'll expect me to run. If I'm loose too, they'll know right away." Eli's stomach twisted. "You're staying chained. You'll never make it out." Lyra's voice sharpened, a flash of something dark behind her calm face. "Do you want to live or argue?" "Human, 90 seconds." He swallowed hard and nodded. "Fine. What's next?" Lyra leaned closer, her voice barely a breath. "2 corridors down. Left at the black door. You'll find the vent, small enough to hide, big enough to crawl through." Eli glanced at the dark hallway beyond the cages, shadows stretching like claws. He didn't like leaving her, didn't trust the cold metallic smell of this place, but the horn was already fading and footsteps echoed far away. He slipped out of the cage, his bare feet silent on the cold floor. "Eli." Lyra's whisper stopped him. He turned back, her silver eyes locked on his. "Don't look back, whatever you hear." "Don't look back." He wanted to ask why, but the sound of distant metal scraping against metal cut him off. Eli crouched low and moved fast, sliding between cages and shadows. Every breath sounded too loud, every step felt like a scream in the quiet. Halfway down the corridor, he heard it. A sound that wasn't footsteps, wasn't chains, it was breathing, heavy, wet, close. Eli froze, pressing himself against the wall, his heart hammering. From the dark corner of the corridor, something moved, a shape too tall, too thin, its head tilted, sniffing the air. Eli held his breath and slid forward slowly, every muscle screaming to run. The thing shifted, its claws scraping the wall, the sound making his skin crawl. Then the horn sounded again, and the creature turned away, slinking into the shadows like smoke. Eli didn't wait. He bolted down the corridor, turned left, and found the black door. It wasn't a door at all, but a smooth wall with a faint seam. He pressed against it. Nothing happened. Come on," he hissed under his breath. A soft click echoed, and the wall slid open. Inside was a narrow vent glowing faintly blue, air humming with strange energy. Eli climbed in, the walls cold against his skin. As he pulled the panel shut behind him, he heard Lyra's voice, faint, far away. "Run, human. Run now." And then a sound like chains snapping, followed by a roar that shook the walls. Eli crawled through the vent as fast as he could, the sound of the roar following him like a living shadow. He didn't know what happened to Lyra, didn't know if she was alive or dead, but her words echoed in his mind. "Don't look back, whatever you hear. Don't look back." The vent stretched like a frozen tunnel, every breath clouding the blue air. Eli crawled, his arms shaking, the echo of that roar still ringing in his head, behind him. The sound of metal crashing and chains breaking made the walls tremble. He wanted to turn back, wanted to see if Lyra was alive, but her last words dug into his mind like nails. Don't look back. Whatever you hear, don't look back. The vent opened into a wide chamber, dim light dripping from strange tubes in the ceiling. Rows of bodies hung upside down, human bodies, pale and motionless. Eli's stomach twisted, bile rising in his throat. He stumbled forward, his bare feet splashing in a thin layer of cold liquid on the floor. This isn't a prison, he muttered under his breath. It's a slaughterhouse. A soft voice answered him from the shadows. You're not wrong, human. Eli spun around, his fists clenched. From the far side of the room, Lyra stepped out of the dark, her silver eyes glowing faintly. She was free, no chains, no blood. Her movements calm, too calm, Lyra. Ellie whispered, relief and suspicion fighting inside his chest. You got out? Lyra tilted her head slightly, her lips curling into a small, unreadable smile. I told you they would look for me first, she said softly. I told you not to look back. Eli took a step toward her, then stopped. How? Did you break the chains? That key. You used it on me. Lyra's gaze shifted to the hanging bodies, her voice low, almost sad. Some locks don't need keys. They only need permission. The words didn't make sense, but the tone did. Something cold slid into Eli's gut. You're not human, are you? Lyra walked closer, her bare feet silent on the wet floor, her silver eyes never blinking. I was born half of what you are, half of what they are, she said. I don't belong to either side. Eli's fists tightened, his heart pounding. You're one of them, he whispered. One of the things that eat us. For a second, her calm face cracked, pain flashing in her eyes. Do you think I don't know what they do to you? She said sharply. I was raised in the pens, same as you. Until they found out I wasn't like the others. Eli stepped back, his chest tight. Why should I trust you? How do I know this isn't a trap? Lyra stopped walking, the distance between them thick with fear and doubt. You don't, she said simply, her voice soft again. You don't trust me. You decide if you want to live. A sound cut through the room like a blade. Metal scraping, a deep growl vibrating through the walls. Eli turned toward the sound and saw them. Two tall figures sliding into the chamber, their claws dripping with something dark. Lyra's voice snapped into a harsh whisper. Move, human. This is not the place to decide. She grabbed his arm and pulled him toward a narrow doorway at the side of the chamber. Eli felt her skin under his hand, cold but alive. They ran. The sound of claws on metal behind them. The corridor twisted like a maze, each turn darker than the last. Eli's lungs burned, his mind spinning with questions. Why help me if you're one of them? Why risk your life for me? He shouted as they ran. Lyra didn't look back, her voice cutting through the dark. Because you are the last thing they fear. A free human. They burst into another chamber, this one glowing with strange machines and humming energy. Lyra slammed her hand on a panel, and a door slid shut behind them, sealing the noise of the creatures outside. For a moment, only their breath filled the room. Eli leaned against the wall, his body shaking. You're going to get me killed, he muttered. Lyra stood in the center of the glowing chamber, her silver eyes locking on his. No, Eli. I'm going to show you the truth. She reached behind her neck and pressed her skin. Something shifted under it, and a small piece of metal slid out, glowing faint blue. This ship, she said, is not a prison. It's a farm, and Earth is just one of many. Eli stared at her, the cold truth sinking in. What are you saying? Lyra stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. I'm saying this is bigger than you or me. And if you want to survive, you're going to have to decide who the real enemy is. The door behind them shuddered as something slammed against it. Claws screeching on metal, Lyra held out the glowing piece of metal to Eli, her voice urgent now. Take it, human. If you want to live, trust me. Just this once. Eli reached for it slowly, his hand shaking. Outside, the roar came again, louder, closer inside. 2 enemies or 2 allies stood in the cold glow, and in that moment, trust was the only weapon left. Asterisk, the door shook again, the sound of claws scraping metal like knives on bone. Eli gripped the glowing piece of metal in his hand, his knuckles white. Lyra stepped closer, her silver eyes fixed on him, her voice steady but low. That thing you hold is not a weapon. She said, it's a key. To the heart of this ship. And to the end of us both. Eli's breath came heavy, the walls vibrating with every slam from outside. You keep talking in riddles, he snapped. Why me? Why this key? And why should I trust you if you're half one of them? Lyra's calm face cracked for a second, a flash of fear and something else. I told you before, she whispered. I was born wrong. My mother was human. My father was Dominion. Eli stared at her, the words sinking in like cold water. You mean one of those things out there? Lyra's lips tightened, her voice sharp. No. Worse, my father commands them. Before Eli could answer, the metal wall bent inward under a crushing blow. Sparks flying into the room, Lyra grabbed his wrist, her grip icy but strong. Listen to me, human, she said, her voice now a hiss of urgency. The only way this ends is if you put that key into the ship's heart. Only a pure human can activate it. Eli's mind spun. And what happens if I do? Lyra hesitated, her voice softened into almost nothing. The ship dies. And so do we. The door dented again, a crack splitting the metal, a long black claw pushing through. Eli backed away, his breath ragged. You're insane. You want me to kill us both? Lyra's silver eyes locked onto his, calm despite the chaos. If we don't, they take you to the core. And then every human you know dies screaming. The words cut deep. Eli wanted to call her a liar, wanted to believe this was all some nightmare. But the smell of blood in the air and the sound of the creatures outside told him it was real. Why do you care? He demanded, his voice breaking. If you're half like them, why would you risk your life for me? Lyra stepped closer, the cold light of the chamber wrapping her in a ghostly glow. Because I don't belong to them, she said quietly, and I will never belong to them if I let you die here. The metal door tore open, a jagged hole spilling shadows into the room. A creature's head slid through, its long teeth dripping with black liquid. Lyra didn't flinch. Decide, human, she whispered. Trust me. Or watch the end of your kind. Eli's hand tightened around the key, the weight of the choice burning his skin. He stared at Lyra, at the half-human, half-monster girl who had whispered for him to save her. He didn't know if she was telling the truth. He didn't know if this was the right move. But he knew one thing. If he hesitated, they were both dead. Where is the ship's heart? He asked, his voice steady now. Lyra's lips curved into a small, tired smile. Beneath us, she said. Then she pressed her hand against the floor, and a panel slid open, revealing a narrow shaft glowing with faint blue light. Eli dropped to his knees, looking into the shaft. Looks like hell down there, he muttered. Lyra knelt beside him, her voice softer now, almost human. That's because it is, the creature outside roared, the sound shaking the walls. Eli looked back at her. If we do this, what happens to you? Lyra's silver eyes dimmed slightly, and for the first time, her voice cracked. If you succeed, I don't make it out. The words hit harder than the roar. Eli stared at her. You're asking me to kill you. Lyra's lips trembled for a second. Then she leaned closer, her whisper soft as a breath. I'm asking you to free me. The door exploded behind them, shards of metal flying across the room. The creature lunged, claws tearing through the air. Eli didn't think. He grabbed Lyra's arm and jumped into the glowing shaft. Both of them falling into the blue light above. The chamber vanished into darkness and fire as the ship's heart swallowed them whole. The shaft seemed endless, blue light wrapping around Eli and Lyra as they fell. The air wasn't air at all. It hummed, alive, pressing against his skin like water when they landed. It wasn't with a crash but a slow drift, as if the ship itself had caught them. Eli stumbled onto a smooth floor that pulsed faintly under his feet. "This isn't metal," he muttered, his voice shaking. "It's alive." Lyra stood beside him, her silver eyes reflecting the strange glow around them. "You're not wrong, human," she said quietly. "This ship isn't a machine. It's a body." The room stretched like the inside of a heart, walls moving gently as if breathing. In the center stood a massive structure, part bone, part metal, glowing faint blue like the key in Eli's hand. "That's it," Lyra whispered, her voice soft, reverent. "The core. The thing that keeps this entire farm alive." Eli stared, his stomach twisting. "This isn't just a ship, is it?" Lyra shook her head slowly. "No. It's a seed." The word sank into him like ice. "A seed for what?" Her voice broke for the first time, a whisper almost swallowed by the hum around them. "For more of them. For more farms." Eli looked at the core, the glow reflecting in his eyes. "And Earth? What about Earth?" Lyra's silver eyes dimmed, a shadow crossing her face. "Earth was the first seed," she said. "Is its child." The truth hit Eli like a blade. "All this time, we thought we were alone," he whispered. "We were never alone. We were food." The walls pulsed harder as if the ship itself had heard his words. A deep sound rolled through the core. A voice, without language, felt in the bones. Lyra grabbed his hand, her grip cold and trembling. "It knows we are here," she hissed. "Use the key before it wakes." Eli stared at her, his hand shaking. "If I use it, you die." Lyra's lips trembled into a small, tired smile. "I was never meant to live," she said softly. "Not in their world. Not in yours." A shadow passed over the walls, the hum growing louder, deeper. Eli stepped forward, every instinct screaming to run. The core loomed before him, alive, watching. He raised the key, his breath ragged. "Eli," Lyra's voice stopped him, soft but sharp. He turned to her, silver eyes locked onto his. "When this is over, don't hate me for what I am." He opened his mouth to answer, but the core pulsed violently, a sound like a heartbeat slamming through the room. A voice filled his skull, cold and endless. "You are mine, human." Eli dropped to his knees, clutching his head, the voice tearing through his thoughts. Lyra knelt beside him, her hands on his face, forcing him to look at her. "Listen to me. It's not real. It's fear. Use the key now." With a cry that was half rage, half despair, Eli thrust the glowing piece of metal into the core. For a heartbeat, everything went silent. Then the room screamed, a sound that wasn't sound at all but raw pain and fury. The walls convulsed, the floor cracked beneath them. Lyra grabbed his hand one last time, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Hold me. Use me. Just get me out of here," she whispered. Blue light swallowed everything. Asterisk. The blue light swallowed everything, burning against Eli's skin like fire and ice at the same time. He couldn't hear his own breath, couldn't feel the ground, only the hum of the ship screaming around him. When the light dimmed, he was on his knees, the core shaking violently, cracks of black energy tearing through its glowing surface. Lyra stood in front of him, her silver eyes brighter than ever, her skin pale as if the life was being pulled from her. "It's working," she whispered, her voice soft but breaking. "It's killing the ship." Eli pushed himself up, his chest tight. "And it's killing you." Lyra gave a small, tired smile. "I told you. The key was inside me for a reason." Her knees buckled, and Eli caught her before she hit the floor. Her body was cold, too cold, the blue glow under her skin flickering like a dying star. "You're not dying here," Eli said through gritted teeth. "You hear me?" "We're getting out," the core roared. A deep sound that shook the room and split the air like a living thing in agony. The walls pulsed, black veins spreading through the blue light. A panel in the ceiling exploded open, and dark shapes dropped. Into the chamber, the creatures were bigger now, faster, their claws ripping into the living walls as they lunged forward. Eli held Lyra close, his eyes darting around for an escape. "Where?" he shouted. Lyra raised a shaking hand, pointing to a narrow tunnel opening behind the core. "Go. Now," she gasped. Eli lifted her, her weight light but heavy with what he knew was coming. He ran, the floor cracking under his feet, the sound of claws chasing him. One of the creatures slammed down in front of him, its head snapping up, eyes like pools of black fire. Eli spun, his back hitting the core. Lyra's trembling fingers brushed his face, her voice soft, almost calm. "Eli, listen to me," she whispered. "You can't carry me and live." He shook his head violently. "No, don't you dare say that." Her silver eyes softened, tears shimmering in the glow. "You have to go, or this is all for nothing," the creatures roared, the tunnel ahead collapsing as the ship tore itself apart. Eli held her tighter, his chest breaking. "You said you wanted to be free," his voice cracked. "I'm not leaving you here like them." Lyra smiled faintly, weak but real. Then, "Hold me," she whispered. "Use me. Just get me out of here." Before he could answer, her hands pressed something cold and glowing into his chest. He looked down and saw it, the key, the same piece of metal he had driven into the core. She had pulled it back out. And with it, the last of her life. "Run," she whispered, her voice fading. "Run, human. And don't look back." Eli's body moved before his mind did. He turned, clutching the key, and dove into the collapsing tunnel. Behind him, the chamber erupted in blue fire, the sound of Lyra's voice swallowed by the roar of a dying ship. The tunnel twisted and buckled, the blue light burning out to black. Eli crawled, ran, stumbled, every breath a fight. He didn't know how long it lasted, only that when he finally fell out into cold air, the world was silent. He lay on the ground, the key still in his hand, the smell of smoke and ash thick around him. Above, the massive ship cracked in half, falling from the sky like a dying star. Eli's chest heaved, his eyes wet. He whispered to the empty air, "I held you, I used you, and I got you out." The key in his hand flickered once, a faint blue light, then it went dark. The smoke cleared slowly, drifting over broken ground and blackened sky. Eli lay on his back, the key cold and dead in his hand. His ears rang with silence, the kind that follows the end of something massive. He sat up slowly, every muscle aching. Behind him, the alien ship lay shattered across a vast plain, its glowing veins now dark, its living walls finally still. For a moment, he let himself breathe. "It's over," he whispered. "We made it." The words hurt as soon as they left. His mouth, He looked down at the key, his fingers trembling. "No, you didn't make it," he whispered, his throat tight. "Lyra." A low wind blew across the plain, carrying with it a smell that made his chest tighten. Not metal, not smoke, but earth, wet and alive. Eli stood slowly and turned, his eyes widening. In the distance, lights. Not alien lights, but soft, golden. Human lights. A city stretched across the horizon, tall towers and glowing streets. For a heartbeat, hope hit him like fire. "Earth," he whispered. "They saved me. They brought me home." He stumbled toward the city, his legs weak, his chest burning. Every step was heavy, every breath carrying Lyra's last words. "Hold me. Use me. Just get me out of here." As he reached the edge of the city, the streets were quiet, too quiet. No voices, no movement, just the hum of unseen power. Eli's voice cracked the silence. "Hello? Anyone?" A soft sound answered him. A mechanical click, faint but sharp. Eli turned, his heart skipping. From the shadows, a figure stepped out. A man, tall, human-looking, his face calm, too calm. "Welcome back," the man said in a voice. "That wasn't quite right. You survived the harvest." Eli froze, his stomach twisting. What did you say?" The man smiled without warmth. "This was the test," he said simply. "Those who survive are delivered to the next farm." Eli stepped back, his breath catching. No, this is Earth." The man tilted his head slightly, his voice soft. "Earth is gone, human. This is what grew from its seed." The city lights shifted, glowing brighter, and for a moment Eli saw it. Not towers, not streets, but veins glowing under living skin. The entire city pulsed once like a heartbeat. Eli fell to his knees, his chest breaking. No, we stopped it. We killed the ship." The man stepped closer, his silver eyes flashing faintly in the light. "You killed one," he said calmly, "but the Dominion always grows more." Eli clutched the dead key to his chest, his voice a broken whisper. "Lyra, what did we die for?" For a second, the wind shifted, soft and cold, and in it, a whisper that wasn't the man's voice, faint, almost human. "You're not done, Eli." "Not yet." His head snapped up, his eyes wide. The man smiled again. "Calm, endless. Come," he said, "you have work to do." Eli stood slowly, his fists clenched, the dead key still in his hand. He stared at the glowing city, at the thing, pretending to be home. His voice was low, steady, and cold. "No, I have a war to start." The wind carried the whisper again, faint and soft. "Hold me. Use me. Just get me out of here." Eli walked into the living city, and behind him, the broken ship burned in silence.